Derivatives help us to break motion down. Position becomes velocity, and velocity becomes acceleration. But in physics, we often need to build motion back up. That's what integrals do. In this video, you'll learn how antiderivatives help us go from velocity back to position, and why the same idea shows up in impulse, work, energy, and more. Let's start with the reverse power rule. This is one of the most common ways to find an antiderivative. When you see this long S-shaped symbol, it's called the integral sign, and it tells you you're looking for the antiderivative. The function inside the integral is called the integrand, and the dx tells us we're taking the antiderivative with respect to x. So if we want to find the antiderivative of x to the power of n, we do the reverse of the power rule. Instead of bringing the exponent down and subtracting 1, we add 1 to the exponent, then divide by the new exponent. And because adding a constant does not change the derivative, we add plus c at the end. For now, think of c as the missing starting value. Later, we'll use the initial condition to figure out what c actually is. Now let's take a look at this velocity function. V of t is equal to t squared. Now you might wonder, why are we looking for the antiderivative of this velocity function? And the answer is because in physics, on a velocity versus time graph, the sign area under a velocity time graph represents displacement. And the antiderivative of velocity gives us a position function. And we can use that position function to find displacement over a time interval. The position function is equal to the integral of the velocity function with respect to time. And so we're basically finding the integral of t squared dt. Applying our reverse power rule, we're going to take this exponent, add 1 to it, and divide it by the new exponent plus c. So we get t cubed divided by 3 plus c. Now you may have noticed that there is a c here. And what does that c tell us? Why is there a c? That c is the constant of integration. In a position function, c is determined by the initial position. If the initial condition is given at t equals 0, then c equals the initial position. So if you take a look at this position versus time graph, so here is 1 over 3 t cubed, but the initial condition or the initial position could be 0, but it might not be. It could be 1 or it could be 2. It could be a different number depending on what the initial position is. And when you start with a velocity function, you integrate it, you do not have enough information just by itself to know what the initial condition is. You're going to need to be given that information or given more information that you can then use to determine what the initial condition is. Now it's your turn to try. I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and pause the video, go ahead and try to solve these two integrals, and then once you're done, go ahead and play the video to check your answer. To find the integral of 6t dt, we're going to first look at the exponent of this t here, which is the exponent of 1. We're going to add 1 to that, which will get 2, divided by the new exponent of 2, and we get 6t squared divided by 2 plus c, our initial condition, which gives us 3t squared plus c. Next, we're going to find the integral of this polynomial, 4t cubed minus 2, with respect to t. Once again, we're going to take this exponent of 3, add 1 to that. We get 4 divided by the new exponent, which is 4. And then you'll notice that next to this 2, there's no variable. So it's the same thing as t to the power of 0, because t to the power of 0 is 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So t to the power of 0 plus 1 is 1. And then we're going to take this whole term divided by the new exponent of 1. So this gives us 4t to the power of 4 divided by 4 minus 2t divided by 1 plus c, which is equal to t to the power of 4 minus 2t plus c. Now we're given the velocity function v of t is equal to 4t plus 3, and we want to find the position function. We're also given the initial condition, that the initial position is equal to 2 because we're told that at time equals 0, the position is 2. To find the position function, we're going to integrate the velocity function. So we're looking for the integral of 4t plus 3 with respect to t. And we get 4t squared divided by 2 plus 3t plus c by applying the reverse power rule. And this is equal to 2t squared plus 3t plus c. Now we're given the initial condition, specifically the initial position is 2. So we can substitute 2 for c, and we get that the position function is equal to 2t squared plus 3t plus 2. Now we're given the acceleration function, and we're looking for the velocity function, and we're given the initial condition or the initial velocity. Now, even though this isn't velocity and position, we're going to use the same method because the integral of the acceleration function gives us the velocity. So I'd like you to take a moment and pause this video and give these two problems a try. And then once you're done, go ahead and play the video and check your answer. All right, our first acceleration function is 10, and we're looking for the velocity. So we're going to find the integral of 10 with respect to time. And although you don't see a variable here, we can imagine that there is a t to the power of 0 because anything to the power of 0 is 1. So we have t to the power of 0, so our exponent here is 0. So we're going to add 1 to that 0 and divide it by the new exponent of 1. And so we get 10t plus c. We're given the initial condition, our initial velocity is 3, so we're going to substitute 3 for c, and we get that the velocity of time is equal to 10t plus 3. Our second problem here, we have an acceleration that is equal to 6t. So we're going to find the integral of 6t with respect to time, and we get 6t squared over 2 plus c. And because we're given the initial condition, the initial velocity is 4, we're going to substitute 4 for c, and we get that the velocity function is equal to 3t squared plus 4. Now we're going to go from acceleration to position. That means you're going to have to integrate 2 times. We're given that the acceleration is equal to 12t, our initial velocity is 5, and our initial position is 2. Take a moment to pause this video, give this a try. When you're done, come back and play the video and check your answer. First, we're going to find the velocity. To find the velocity function, we're going to find the integral. We're going to integrate the acceleration function, which is 12t with respect to time. And we get that the velocity function is equal to 12t squared divided by 2 plus c. Now we're given the initial condition, specifically the initial velocity is 5. So we're going to substitute 5 for c, and we get that the velocity function is equal to 6t squared plus 5. Next, we're going to find the position function, which is the integral of the velocity function. So we're going to find the integral of 6t squared plus 5 with respect to time, and we get 6t cubed divided by 3 plus 5t plus plus c. Now we're given that the initial position is 2, so we're going to substitute 2 for c, and we get that the position function is equal to 2t cubed plus 5t plus 2. So far, integrating has given us another function, but when we add limits, the integral gives us a number. For example, the integral of velocity over a time interval gives the displacement. Let's integrate this velocity function, 3t squared, from time equals 0 to time equals 2 seconds. To do that, we're going to integrate our velocity function like we did before using the reverse power rule. And we're going to write the limits next to this S-shaped symbol. So at the bottom will be our lower limit, which is 0 seconds. And at the top is our upper limit, our 2 seconds. And we're going to integrate 3t squared with respect to time. This will give us 3t to the third power divided by 3 plus c. I'm going to put these in brackets, and you'll notice that I'm putting our lower limit down here, so 0 at the end of the bracket, and then I'm putting our upper limit 2 seconds at the top next to the bracket here. And this 3t cubed over 3 plus c simplifies to 3 cubed plus c. And notice that our limits are here again. The next step is to substitute our limits into the equations. We're going to first substitute our upper limit. So I'm going to apply 2, substitute 2 for the t, and we get 2 cubed plus c minus, and then I'm going to substitute the 0 into the t, and we get 0 plus c. You'll notice that the c's will cancel out, and that leaves us with 2 cubed minus 0, which is 8 minus 0, and we get an answer of 8 meters. Notice that we don't get a function here. We'll get an actual number because this number right here represents the displacement of the object. So does the reverse power rule actually apply to any other topic in physics other than kinematics? And the answer is yes. And here's just one example. Here we have a force that varies with position. So for example, a spring, as you compress it, the magnitude of the spring force depends on how much you compress it. So we have here a force function, a f of x is equal to 4x. And we want to find the work that's done from x equals 0 to x equals 3 meters. In your physics class, you'll learn later on that the work done is equal to the integral of the force function with respect to x. So to find the work that is done, we're going to find the integral of 4x dx, and our lower bounds is 0 and our upper bounds is 3. The integral of 4x dx is 4x squared divided by 2 plus c. Notice we're going to write down our lower and upper bounds right next to the bracket here, and we can simplify our equation to 2x squared plus c, and then outside our brackets we have a lower bound of 0, upper bound of 3. Substituting 3 for our variable, we get 18 plus c minus, and then substituting 0 into our variable, we get 0 plus c. Notice that the c's cancel out. That leaves us with 18 minus 0, and we get 18 joules. If you found this video helpful, check out my free calculus survival guide in the description.